got home from a night out in Paris. There's something that like this like citywide art festival that Paris throws every year. It's called La Nuit Blanche, or like the White Night. Um, Night being like opposite of day, not like cavalier jousting, princess, damsel saving, whatever. And it was really fun. We just like wandered around parts of Paris and watched like all of these, or looked at all these like art installations. And it was, yeah, it was nice. Just kind of like be outside, and it was quite cool. But then like as the night kind of went on, we started to realize that like the places that we ended up going to see were just like crazy populated, like lots and lots of people all over the place. And some of us started getting, myself included, starting getting a little bit stressed about just like the sheer like number of people. And it's, I don't know if it was just like a bunch of like tourists, or that a bunch of people were really drunk, or just that we had like bad luck in running into a bunch of jerks. But it was getting really frustrating being in these really populated areas, because there were just like so many people, and they weren't paying attention to like who they were walking around, and they would like randomly stop in the middle of their walk, or stop in the middle of the path or something, even though other people are trying to, get by or get through or whatever. And I don't know, I just got really fed up with like everybody being so, and it's like when you have crowds that are that dense, it kind of puts you on like, pickpocket lockdown. So I don't know, I just like wasn't enjoying like the huge crowds. So we finally like split off and decided to, go hang out on like a different kind of venue. So we decided eventually to go to this street called Rue Mouffetard, which is pretty close to Sancier, the building where I work most of the time as a lectrice. And it's technically not a pedestrian street, but it's like such a small, like narrow street that it's really hard to get cars through. So a lot of people like walk in the streets anyway. But it's at one part, it's kind of a lot of like small little shoppies, like they're like cheese shops and perfume and like olives and olive oil. There's a shop there, and like little cafes. And then as you like go up the street a little bit, it becomes like bar central and like crepe central, and it's a little bit like college town bar street scene, especially on like Friday and Saturday nights, and tonight is Saturday night, so I guess technically it's Sunday morning because it's like 2:30 a.m. I got home at 2:30 a.m. But anyway, so we were like in like the bar area of the Latin Quarter, which is kind of like in Paris, that's kind of like the student central, like a lot of students in that area. So all of the bars were a little bit jam-packed, and we were kind of like walking up and down, there were 6 of us. And just kind of like walking up and down, just being like, oh, do you think we can fit in there? Not really, or like that place looks like it's going to be expensive, or we don't want to like order a full meal, we just want to like get a drink. And at this point it had started like doing that little like rain thing where it's not really like raindrops, but it's not completely dry. It's like, I like to refer to it as like spit rain. So eventually we like found a place to sit. And half of us, myself included, decided to go like down the street a little bit to get some crepes, just because we had gotten through the hellish crowds from earlier, and we were like, we deserve a treat. So we ran off to get crepes, and we were gonna go rejoin our friends who were at the bar. And we went and got our crepes. I got Nutella banana crepe, and it was so good. And we were just kind of like sitting there chatting and eating crepes. And then as we were like making our way back to the bar where our friends were, we were standing in this kind of like intersection of a bunch of streets, kind of like strategizing about how to get to the bar that we were going to be going to. And I was standing there with a map book in my hand, like trying to make sure that we were going to be going down the right street, and completely out of nowhere, this woman, this like old woman, okay, so she's like an older woman, like white hair about down to here, like very like angry, like screwed up face or something, and like hunched over and kind of like wobbling a little bit as she moves. And I only saw her like after what I'm about to tell you happened. But I'm sitting there with my map book, trying to figure out where to go, and then out of this, from like my peripheral vision, I see this hand come like flying out like through the air, and she essentially just like, with like no provocation at all, I was just sitting there with my nose in a book. I didn't even make eye contact with her, but she kind of like reached out and like smacked me really hard on the arm. Like, let me see if I can like act it out for you a little bit. And I don't want to like shake the camera, so I'm gonna like try to place it here. Yeah, okay. So she reaches out and she goes like really hard on my arm, and she shouts something, and I don't know what the thing is that she shouted, because I was so shocked that I literally shrieked, like high-pitched volume, just like, what the fuck, and like ran like 5 steps away from this woman. Everybody else standing around me was like bursting out laughing. My friends didn't laugh. They were like, oh my god, what just happened? But like this other like groups of people were just like laughing at this exchange. And as soon as she hit me, she like kind of stumbled off to something. And I'm not sure if she was drunk or just kind of like Looney Tunes. But whatever it was, I was just like so taken aback. My arm like really hurt. She hit me really hard. And then my friend Blair, who was like one of the people I was with, was just like, yeah, I kind of like saw her like winding up for it, but I was just like so shocked that I couldn't like really stop her. And I feel like at the time that he noticed her, like there was nothing that he could have done anyway. She was going in for the smack. And then we were just kind of like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how is that like something that somebody gets in their head? Like, I don't know this person, they're not doing anything, I'm just gonna reach out and hit them really hard and like yell at them. That's normal. And then we kind of were just like, where did she go? I was kind of like, is she gonna do it again? Like, what did I do to this woman? Did I insult her in a past life? Am I like offending her by not wearing sleeves? Like, am I somehow like being provocative because my elbows are visible? And we saw her like across the intersection where we were, and she was like hobbling her way up to another group of people, and we were like, oh my god, she's about to do this again. So she like, sure enough, like hobbles up to another group of people. They don't see her coming because she's kind of like short and hunched over, and she reaches out and smacks somebody else like right on the back, and this other person like jumps around. She's like, what the hell just happened, in French obviously. And then she just kind of like, this woman kind of like rambles off again. We were like, I have no idea what's in this woman's head. And then a couple minutes later, we were like on our way to the bar where our friends were, and we saw her like being escorted out of a restaurant by a waiter. Like, she had wandered into a restaurant with the intent to like smack some of the patrons, and he was the waiter obviously was going to have none of it, so he like was pushing her out. And it's like the whole, like, I was like shaking at some point, and I was just like, what in the world just happened? It was so bizarrely unexpected, and it kind of like, I don't know, like, on some level you kind of have to be like, well, some people are not quite right, and you can't really hold it against them, but at the same time, like, that really hurt. That hurt my arm. My arm hurt for a while after that. I mean, I'm fine now, and it's like a story or whatever. But just like, what gets into people's heads? Okay, so related story, like last night I was going to a friend's apartment with a couple other friends just so we could have like a little drink and a chat, whatever. It's called, in France we call it apéro. It's like, we call it, like I'm one native now, but it's called an apéro, which just means like you have a few like drinks and like snacks or something and just hang out and talk. And it's really nice. So a couple of friends and I like met at a train station so that we could travel there together. And as we were sitting on the train waiting for it to take off, this guy comes up to us as we're like sitting in a little cluster on the train, and he's got like his hand right here, and he's doing this like very exaggerated like chewing face. He's like, and we were already like, oh, that's weird. And then he takes whatever is in his hand, turns out to be like the end of a cob of roasted corn, and he like shoves it like within like 3 centimeters of my face, and he's like, no words, but I was just like, no, don't want it, no. And then he like reaches across me and like offers it to the guy that's just like sitting next to me, and the guy's just like, ugh, get out. So then he like retracts his arm. No words have been spoken by this guy at this point, and then he continues to like offer this weird like ear of corn to like other people on the train, and I was just like, what in the world? And then it gets like even worse, because at some point he got off of the train back onto the platform, and there were 3 people on the platform, one guy and 2 girls, all like black, and the guy like walks up to these people and he goes like trying to go for like that like stereotypical like gangster like handshake, like, hey bro, what's up, or something, you know, like that. And like he does it to the guy first, and they're just like, hey, and the guy was giving him this face like I was sure this kid was about to get punched, but like the guy kept his cool and just like walked away from him. And then the guy like with the corn got back on the train and started offering it to other people again. And I was like, again, I don't know if you're like think you're funny and you're trying to prank somebody, or if there's like genuinely something like disconnected in your head that's making you like do these things that are obviously not okay, but somehow you think they're okay. It was like very like unsettling. And I mean, it wasn't like dangerous. I don't think he was ever gonna like do, or you know, if he was, like obviously there's people around, like it's not just like this one person plus you on an empty train and then you feel like endangered. It was nothing like that. But still, just like when people like make you uncomfortable by doing something that just like makes no sense to you, like how are you supposed to react to that? It was just a weird experience. I mean, after this woman hit my arm, referring back to tonight, after she like smacked me and then I like left, night kind of turned back to normal. Hey, I was just reviewing the footage that I just shot. I just said just 3 times in this about 5 seconds. That's really intelligent of me. Aces. Well, in any case, I was reviewing the footage that I shot, you know, telling of tonight's adventures, and I realized that the camera just like randomly stopped recording toward the end of the story. So now I'm re-recording to catch whatever information got left out. And I mean, really, it wasn't anything particular. I was just saying that my friends and I at some point realized tonight that we spent about 4 hours walking around Paris and just kind of seeing the sights and exploring different areas, and it was really, really, really fun, and you know, great exercise. But that kind of tiring where you don't realize you're tired until you sit down, and then when you need to stand up to go somewhere else, it's like you absolutely don't want to get up because you're just like, no, my feet don't want to work anymore. But I mean, obviously you're not going to spend your night at a bar, especially in like college town bar. So we all, you know, made our way home and hopped our trains and all of that. Don't worry, there were no more corn people on the train. No more women, you know, assaulting random limbs. But yeah, so I am home now, obviously. This is my apartment, remember? And I'm going to go to bed pretty soon. And tomorrow is just going to be kind of a boring day. In general, with my online classes, because my program takes place online, I like to be a couple of days ahead of any deadline, just so that if something happens, you know, I have time to fix it or handle it or whatever. And also, I am currently 7 hours ahead of my school's time zone, so I would rather just like get it done a little bit ahead of time, but I haven't been like great about that. I mean, I'm getting stuff done, and I will have everything done as it's due, like, over the weekend. Don't worry, Mom. But I just need to, like, kind of, like, crack down on myself a little bit more, and I will. Don't worry. So I guess I will fill you in next time something happens. Yes. Quite. Okay. Goodbye.